Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar session today on how to run your independent teaching business with Ellii. My name is Lise, and this is Felicia,
Hi, everyone. Hello.
and we are so excited to host this webinar with you. It looks like a lot of you have already found the chat. Make sure you drop in your name. Let us know where you're coming from. Felicia and I have put a lot of thought and effort into this particular webinar because both of us, before joining and working with Ellii, were actually independent teachers ourselves, and both of us ran our businesses using Ellii. So we're coming to you today with a whole bunch of hopefully very helpful and useful tips and tricks to get you going with your business and hopefully thriving. So just before we kick off the webinar, I'm going to lead you through a couple of housekeeping things here with Crowdcast. Like I said, it looks like a bunch of you guys have already found the comment section. On the right-hand side of your screen, right below that comment icon, you're going to see the Q&A section. Feel free to click into that right now just so you can get familiarized with it. And this is where we would like you to drop your questions for Felicia and I, or for some of our Ellii staff to answer during the presentation. These are the ones that we're going to throw up on stage at the end of the webinar, and we're going to answer it live for you. So if there's a question there that looks interesting to you, make sure you upvote it so we can prioritize that question. And then the last section I want to draw your attention to is the polls section. So you've got chat, Q&A, and then polls. It's the third icon on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you head on over there right now, I'm going to release a poll question for you to answer, just to make sure that we've all found it and we've got this going. So we would like to know, do you currently have an Ellii subscription? Okay, I can see the votes already coming in. Lots of people are answering. This is great. Okay, lots of yeses, a couple of no's. Fantastic. We're so glad you're all here. You're all welcome here. And there's going to be tons of great information for you, whether you already have a subscription with us or whether you are brand new and potentially looking to sign up. Okay, feel free to continue voting over there if you'd like, but I'm going to hand the mic over to Felicia to get us started.
All right. Thank you, Lise, and welcome everybody. It's great to have you all here, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about how you can run your independent teaching business with Ellii. So let me start with a little bit of an introduction. So as Lise said, I'm Felicia. I'm a materials writer here at Ellii. I joined the Ellii team earlier this year, but I'm also an independent English teacher. So I've been teaching English for about 10 years. The first few years I was teaching in the classroom, I was teaching adult ed. And then about 6 years ago, I moved away from Canada. I'm living in Cyprus right now. Is anybody in Cyprus, maybe? So when I left Canada, I decided to start my online independent teaching business. And I had been using Ellii already. So my coworkers, when I was teaching in the classroom, they introduced me to Ellii because they all kind of relied on Ellii materials, and we were all super diehard Ellii fans in the classroom. And so when I started my independent teaching business, I knew that I wanted to rely on Ellii for the materials that I was going to use to teach my students. And when I did that, I found that Ellii also had really great organization tools and teaching tools for me, and a really awesome learning platform for my students. So really quickly, Ellii was able to become like my full teaching toolkit, and I was able to build my teaching business using Ellii. So I am really passionate about sharing with other independent teachers all the ways that I think you can also use Ellii to help build a successful independent teaching business. So in today's presentation, I'm going to be talking to you about what I think are 3 main challenges that we face as independent teachers. And I want to talk about some of the ways that I think that Ellii can help us face and overcome those challenges. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is how you can use Ellii to cut your lesson prep and grading time while still delivering really high quality lessons, better quality lessons, the kind of lessons that we all want to be able to give to our students. So here I'm going to be showing you some really powerful teacher tools that you can use for student management, lesson planning, and grading. Then we're going to be talking about how you can use Ellii to help you attract and retain students who are excited and motivated to learn with you long term. And here we're going to be looking at the Ellii student dashboard and going through the user experience from the student's point of view. And finally, I'm going to be talking about how you can use Ellii to support your students with really engaging content and learning tools. So in this section, I'm going to be showing you how you can find high quality content for all of your students, no matter their age or their level or their interest. So before we jump in to the challenges that I think we face as independent teachers, I want to hear from you. So this is where I want to hear from you in the chat. What are your biggest challenges as an independent teacher? So go ahead and answer this question in the chat. And if you are currently an independent teacher, share with us what your biggest challenges are. If you are teaching in the classroom, tell us your challenges in the classroom. I think there's going to be a lot of overlap between classroom teachers and independent teachers. And if you are not yet an independent teacher, but you're thinking about starting your independent teaching business, we want to hear from you. What are you stressed about? What do you think are going to be the biggest challenges? Attracting new students. Yep, definitely. Student retention. Yeah, that's huge. That is a really important thing we have to think about as independent teachers for sure. Yeah, time zone challenges. That one is really, really tough. I have really faced that a lot in my experience as an independent teacher for sure. Yeah, lots of attracting new students, variety of approaches. I really like that. English for engineering, finances, etc. Yes, definitely. We have students coming from different backgrounds and they have different needs and areas of interest. Making my students do homework is a really great one too. We're definitely going to talk about that, ways that you can keep your students engaged and motivate them to actually continue practicing between classes using a lot of the tools and features that Ellii offers. All right, awesome. Oh, grouping my students together, that's really great. We have some cool features for that too. Okay, so lots of different challenges that we can all relate to. So here are the challenges that I have identified. And the first challenge is one that I think every independent teacher is going to be able to relate to, and this is time is money. So I'm actually going to invite Lise to come back on stage, and she has another question for us.
Yes, I'm going to get another poll going right now for everyone. So make your way over to the right-hand side again, find that poll section, and I'm going to make this one visible now. The question is, how much time do you spend lesson prepping and grading per week? So find your way over there. Okay, I can already see some of the votes coming in. This is great. Lots of people putting in 1 to 5 hours of prepping or grading. Some people 5 to 10 hours. Okay, keep coming in with those votes. It'll be interesting to see. Fantastic. Lesson prepping and grading is one of these things that as teachers we have to do outside of our actual teaching lesson time, and it can really be time consuming. Although I think we can all agree how important it is for our students. So this is going to be one of the topics that Felicia is going to touch on next. So keep coming in with those votes, and Felicia, I'll hand it back over to you.
Awesome. Okay, yes. So time is money. So really, as independent teachers, it can feel like we're juggling all these different students and different time zones. Often we are teaching back to back to back classes, and we're pouring all of this energy into really teaching our students during their classes. And it doesn't leave a lot of time or energy for things like lesson prep and grading. And those tasks can start to feel like a bit of an afterthought or like an optional extra. But the way that I see it and the way we see it here at Ellii is that thoughtful planning and meaningful feedback are both super essential for our students' learning experience. I find like if I don't give enough attention to these tasks, to lesson planning and grading, I feel like I'm missing this huge opportunity to really support my students and add value to their learning. So it kind of boils down to two things for me. I want to get back some of my time and energy so that I can focus on teaching great classes, supporting my students, and also having a balanced a balanced business, work-life balance. And two, I don't want my students to think about it as just paying me for the hour that they're with me in class. I want them to really see the value in what I'm offering before and after class. I want to be able to charge a rate that reflects the holistic support that I'm providing to my students. And so, as teachers who are running our own businesses, this is one of the ways that we can start to build a business that's profitable and sustainable, which is very important. The work that we're doing, I really believe, is meaningful and important. When we're meeting with students one-on-one or in small groups, we have this great chance to really help them. But it is really challenging work, and there are difficulties with this job. So everything that we can do to create a sustainable business is going to help us to continue to offer that help and support to students. So I want to show you a couple of tools that Ellii has designed, the lesson planner and the grade feed. And I want to talk about how these tools have transformed and really streamlined the way that I prep my lessons and how I leave feedback for my students. So we're going to check out the lesson planner and the grade feed. So I think that we should start from the beginning. Oh, sorry, Lise. There we go. I think we should start from the beginning with the lesson planner. If you're familiar with Ellii, you'll recognize that we are on the Discover page right now. So to get to the lesson planner, we're going to go to Classes. Now, when you subscribe to an Ellii individual plan, you do get 35 student licenses. So you can give your students their own individual login so that they can access the Ellii student dashboard, and you can place your students into an unlimited number of classes that you create. So I want to show you the lesson planner inside one of my classes. I'm going to take you to this class here that's called Sasha's class. So this is a class that I have designed for one of my students. I only have one student in this class, just my student Sasha here. Every time I create a new class, I get a fresh, dedicated lesson planner just for that class so I can really customize it exactly how I want for the students in that class. So we're looking at the lesson planner right now in Sasha's class, and this is really designed to give you a clear overview, like a bird's eye view of everything going on in this class, past, present, and future. It's super easy to use, really enjoyable, really intuitive. So we're seeing this kind of Kanban style layout here. We've got 3 lanes. So right here in the prepping lane, this is for materials that I'm planning to use with Sasha. So she's not able to see any of these materials right now. This is just for me to organize myself and prepare what I'm going to teach her. When I want to teach some materials to Sasha, all I need to do is just drag and drop into this teaching lane here. And when I do that, the lesson is immediately available to Sasha in her Ellii student dashboard. So if you're wondering, like, what does that look like? What does the Ellii student dashboard actually look like? What does my student see? We are going to really get into that in just a few minutes. So I'll show you what your students will see when they log in. But anything that I move into this teaching lane becomes visible to my students. And then I can move lessons up and down to control the order of what they see. And when I'm done teaching this content, it's just as easy as moving it over into the taught lane. And this does not remove this from my students' account. So the beautiful thing about this is my students still get to keep all of these lessons that I've taught them, those lessons just move over into this dedicated area in their Ellii student dashboard, and they can access those lessons again and again. And it becomes this really valuable, growing library of content that you've curated for your student at no extra cost to them. So when they get their own Ellii login, they do not have to pay an additional cost for that. And they also get all of this material that you've used with them that they can use for review. They get to keep it. So you're really adding a lot of value to your students' learning experience. And we'll see that when we look at the student login or the student dashboard. Okay, so let's say we've taught all of this content and I've got this nice visual reference of everything that I've taught Sasha so I can keep track. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of food-related content with Sasha, and now I want to move on to something else. So I know that she would like to talk about describing people and personalities. So I want to show you how easy and fast it is to find content and put it into the lesson planner. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do that. So first, we've got this content drawer. When I open this up, you can see I've already saved a bunch of lessons and materials into this content drawer. So as I browse Ellii's content library, which we're going to look at a little bit later, I've been saving things in here that I think, oh, that might work really well with Sasha. And now it's going to be really easy for me to just move these into my lesson planner. So maybe I want to put this video into the lesson planner, this getting acquainted lesson. There are a few other ways that you can add content into your lesson planner. We're not going to get into those just yet, but Lise is going to pop a link down below to a full video walkthrough so you can really get into all of the features of the lesson planner. So as you can see, those lessons are now in my prepping lane. So again, that means Sasha cannot see them yet. I need to drag them over into the teaching lane first. So maybe I want her to have this video and these flashcards, okay? Now she can see them immediately. I do have another lesson in mind that I would like to teach her, and I haven't saved it yet. So I want to show you how easy it is to go and get that lesson and add it into the lesson planner. So the lesson I'm thinking of using is one of our newer discussion starters lessons called First Impressions. So I know it's here in the discussion starters section, and I'm just going to filter for Sasha's level. So she's low intermediate. And here it is. This is the First Impressions lesson. And to add it to the lesson planner, all I have to do is click Add to Class. And then I'm going to select Sasha's class. And I could, if I want, save it to my content drawer. Kind of better for stuff where I'm like, I don't know, like when and how I want to use it. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do with this one. So I don't want to do that. I could also save it to teaching, but that's going to make it immediately visible. And there's a couple things I want to do first. So I'm going to save it to the prepping lane. And I can just click View Class down here and go right back to the lesson planner in Sasha's class. So again, like really easy to use, really intuitive. Even just the user experience saves me a lot of time with this lesson planner. So here it is. Here's that First Impressions lesson. So let's say I want to teach this in kind of like a flipped classroom format. So I want Sasha to do some of the tasks before she meets with me. I'm going to meet with her on Monday. I want to give her a few tasks to complete before then. So I can do that. I can control what tasks she gets to see. I'm going to open up this lesson. We're going to kind of dig into it a little bit just to see like what does it even look like and what tasks we might want to assign to Sasha before class. So for this, I want to show you the digital tasks. This is also what Sasha will see when I assign tasks to her in her Ellii student dashboard. So we've got lots of interactive digital tasks. This one's me, so that's kind of funny for her to watch a video of me. We have this little warm-up video with some warm-up questions for her to think about before class. I would probably like to discuss these with her to kind of get started in our lesson. Something like this vocabulary preview task, this would be really great to assign before class so she can match these words. And then I'll just show you really quickly, if you're not familiar with this, you can, or she can get her results immediately. So a lot of these tasks are auto graded and students will be able to get their result right away. Something like this read and listen, also probably I would assign this before class so she can read it or she can listen
First impressions
to the audio. And then I would probably start the class asking her to read this again. And maybe I would get her to read it out loud, pause between paragraphs, and ask her some comprehension questions on the fly. I would maybe ask her to tell me anything that she found interesting about that paragraph. There are lots of other interactive activities here too. So, like this multiple choice comprehension task, or this complete the sentences task. So, this would be really great to give her a chance to just reinforce some of that vocabulary that she previewed before the reading. A lot of our lessons also include a contextually relevant grammar task. So here we're talking about asking WH questions when we're first getting to know someone. So this really fits with the theme of first impressions. And I would really enjoy going through this with Sasha and giving her a chance to practice a grammar point that is relevant to the topic that we're discussing. And of course, this is a discussion starters lesson, so we have discussion questions we can spend time talking about together. Something like this listen and type is fantastic for homework. So again, reinforcing target vocabulary. And then this personal response task is awesome. So here, Sasha gets to record a speaking answer and I get to listen to it and give her feedback. And we're going to be looking at how to give feedback in just a second. So I can see a question about how to assign the tasks separately. So I'm just going to actually go back here to the lesson planner. Now, if I want to assign only some of the tasks for right now, I'm going to go in, edit tasks. And now I'm just going to select only the ones I want her to see before class. So I'm going to give her the warm-up video, the vocabulary, preview, the reading, and there's a little quote that I want her to think about and we'll discuss together. So I will update this. And then, okay, another thing I can do is set it to move to the teaching lane, and I'm going to give it a due date. So since I'm going to see Sasha on Monday, I'm just going to give it a due date. Let's say that. Maybe I want to add a little bit of a note here. And I don't want her to have the PDF version just yet. I want to give her the full PDF version after class when we've already seen all the activities, and save. And now there it is in the teaching lane. So it's ready to go. I like this order. One last thing, maybe this getting acquainted lesson, I know I want to use this one later next week. So you can see here this little clock. That means that I have set a scheduling option. So I've set this to move automatically from prepping into teaching on the date that I've selected. So I don't have to do anything else. It's just going to automatically move over on the date that I selected, and Sasha will be able to access it right away in her student dashboard. So the lesson planner is like really quick and easy to use. I find it very, very enjoyable to use. One of the things that I want to say about this lesson planner is that it's really versatile and customizable. So the way that I prepare for lessons depends a lot on what I'm teaching and who I'm teaching. So there are times when I have a student that I would like to prepare for way in advance, and I want to be able to take full advantage of all of those scheduling tools and due dates. I want to be able to control everything so that my student gets a really nice drip feed of content. There are other times, though, when I'll be in the middle of a lesson and I'll think, oh man, we have to really go in another direction here. Or, ooh, I just remembered the perfect material that I want to show this student and I didn't save it yet. it's really, really easy to just grab that content and put it into the teaching lane of the lesson planner, and it's right there immediately for the student. So I find that the lesson planner allows me to be really organized and prepared in advance, but it also lets me be incredibly responsive and intuitive in the moment. And both of those things really help to create a really good learning experience for my student and help to make that learning experience really personalized to them. Okay, so we've planned out all of this lesson content, and now the flip side of that is giving feedback on students' assignments. So I want to show you now the grade feed, and we're going to talk about how we can use Ellie's grade feed to simplify and improve the quality of our feedback, to really simplify that process and give our students high quality feedback. So the way that we see grading and feedback here at Ellii, and the way I see it in my teaching, is that it is this essential component of what we offer to our students. It's a way to support their learning, really like check in on what they're doing, but also to build that student teacher connection outside of class. If I'm asking my students to take the time to do all of these assignments and to complete, want to show that like I really do care about what they're doing between class. I really do care about the work that they're doing for me, and that I value that for their learning. And so I want to be giving them really good feedback. So there are a lot of barriers to grading, time, it can be tedious, it can be boring. I really appreciate that Ellii has designed tools to help to lower those barriers and make grading accessible and easy and enjoyable for teachers. So when I log into my teacher account, I can see the grade feed right up here. I can see that there are some responses for me to grade. So that makes it really accessible for me. When I click on that grade feed, I see all of my students' responses. So it's going to funnel everything into one place. If I want, I can filter this and I can choose to see only the responses for one of my classes. So I want to see only the responses for Conversation Club. That's another one of my classes. And when I click on the first response, this is what I see. So just like the lesson planner, the grade feed is really easy to use. You've got everything you need all in one place. I should mention, so when we were looking at that first impressions lesson, some of those tasks were auto-graded. So students are going to get a result right away for things like matching and multiple choice. For other tasks where they are submitting a writing response or a speaking response, those are responses that we are going to receive as teachers, and we get to grade those ourselves. And for me, this is really important because I really want to, be hands-on with all of those written and spoken responses. So everything that comes to me in the grade feed, this is going to be the writing and speaking that my students have submitted to me. So what we see here, everything we need all in one place. We see the student, we see what class, we see the lesson that this came from, the type of task, when it was submitted, what the question or the prompt was, and then the student's answer. So this one was one of those speaking response questions. So I can listen to her response.
I think my blue zone habit is spend time in nature.
Okay, and then I can also see this transcription. That's really helpful. What we're looking at over here, see this little tag says suggested by Ellii bot. So here is where you have some options. There are different feedback modes that you can choose from. So right now, I have chosen to use suggested. That means that Ellii bot, which is our AI assistant, is going to suggest a score and suggest a comment based on my student's response. And then I can come in and I can edit that score and edit that comment before sending it to my student. So just like I was saying earlier about grading being an opportunity for student-teacher connection, the way that I use AI tools like this in my teaching is to facilitate that connection between me and my students. So one of those barriers to grading for me is the decision fatigue that I get when I'm grading, because I really feel strongly about giving action-oriented feedback on my students' responses. But doing that over and over and over again, I do feel that kind of decision fatigue of like, what am I going to write? What's going to be meaningful? So having a suggestion from Ellii does help a lot to kind of mitigate that decision fatigue and help me to get in there and leave detailed feedback for my students, which is a way that I'm able to use it to help me build that student-teacher connection and get that feedback to my students so they can benefit from it. We do have other feedback modes. So if you want, you can choose automatic mode. So Ellii will automatically set the score, write the comment, and send it to your student. Or if you prefer not to use AI in your grading at all, you can choose manual mode. So when you open up the grade feed, you won't see a score yet and you won't see a comment. You can write all of that and do all of that from scratch. So you do have options here. So I would probably just want to come in and like maybe edit the score a little bit. And I would probably edit the comment. And just make it sound more authentic to me, make sure that I'm happy with all of the feedback. And then if I want, I can leave a audio recording of my own, which is really awesome. Another great way to connect with my students outside of class. And then I can just send it off to the student and we can go to the next response. So now it's just automatically shifted over to the next response. And I can just easily and quickly go through all of my student responses, but I get to really see what they're doing in their work and how they're doing and really support them. So really appreciate the way that Ellii has made grading a lot more accessible. So lesson planner and grade feed. These are both really powerful, really versatile tools that save a ton of time and really improve that prep and grading workflow, and also help to build that human connection between us and our students. And all of this is coming back to adding value to what we're giving to our students. So we're better supporting their learning journey. We're offering them holistic support in and outside of class. And in turn, because we are running our own businesses, this is helping us to build a more sustainable and more profitable teaching business. So we've been talking about how to use Ellii's lesson planner and grade feed to add value and support students before and during and after class. But how are we going to get those students into our class in the first place? This is another challenge for independent teachers. So the next challenge is how we are going to win students from day one. So again, I'm going to invite Lise to come back on stage and she is going to hit us up with another poll.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Took me a second. Okay, we've got poll number 2. If you head on over, I will now make this one visible. And so here's the next question we want to pose to you before we get into this next section of winning your students from day one. And you can start voting already. Are your students looking for extra English study material outside of class? So there's so many ways to get your students involved. We're curious to know, are your students looking for extra work? Are they only looking for that 1 hour a week or maybe 2 hours a week that they do lessons with you and they're happy with the amount of homework that they're getting there? Or are they constantly asking you, teacher, can you send me more videos? Do you have recommendations? Is there an extra lesson that I can do on the side? So let us know if your students are looking for extra material there. And this might be a great way to win those students over from day one. Okay, Felicia, back to you.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, winning students from day one. So another reality of independent teaching. When we're teaching in the classroom, most of the time, it's the school or the institution that's putting students into our class for us. When we're teaching independently and running our own teaching businesses, we are responsible for finding students and also for selling them on why they should learn with us. So in this situation, there are a couple of things that I feel like I really need. So first of all, I really need interesting materials. I need materials that are going to help me create a personalized experience for my students, materials that are really going to resonate with my students. I also need a student dashboard. I need something interactive, something where I can assign content to students and they can continue learning between class anytime they want. So these things, really engaging content, an interactive student dashboard, these are the things that, again, are going to add value to my students' learning experience. And it's going to, both of them are going to be a big part of how I help my students make progress toward their goals and keep up their motivation, and also continue to build that connection, that student-teacher connection inside and outside of class. So I have been showing you all of these great tools that I love on the teacher side. And I really would love to show you now what it looks like from the student side. So we're going to take a look at the Ellii student dashboard. When we were looking at the lesson planner, we were mostly looking at Sasha's class. So we will go ahead and take a look at what Sasha sees when she logs into her Ellii student dashboard. All right, so this is the student dashboard. This is what your students see when they log into their Ellii accounts. And just like the teaching tools that we've been looking at, everything here is designed to be really easy to use, really user-friendly, which is super important for students, and really intuitive. Everything that's important is right where students need to see it, where to find it. Everything else is easily accessible. So one of the things that I love, we'll talk about this right now, I love that the feedback is just front and center. Like first thing, as soon as my student logs in, the first thing she sees is this invitation to come and check out her feedback from me. I am also a language student. So I mentioned at the beginning, I'm living in Cyprus, I'm learning Greek, and I can say like, sometimes I don't make the effort to go and check my feedback from my teacher. And so I want to lower the barriers as much as I can for my students to go and check that feedback that I've left for them. So this is fantastic. They see it right away. So Sasha can go in and check her feedback from me. The layout is really similar here, so really easy to use. She can see everything she needs, so she can remember what the question was, she can remember what her answer was, and she can see my feedback and see her score. I like that the feedback is like right front and center. I think that's really important. And then she can just easily swipe through all of her feedback and go through and take a look at my suggestions. All right, so when she goes to her dashboard, she can see clearly all of the classes that I have placed her into. So this is a great way to keep everything really organized. Maybe you want to place one student into multiple different classes to keep different types of content organized for that student. So we're going to take a look at Sasha's class, her individual class. And you can see here like she has this red dot indicates that she's got new material, new assignments from me. So we're going to go in, and the first thing she sees is that first impressions lesson, which we ordered to be at the top of the teaching lane on the teacher's side. So she sees that first. And when she opens that lesson, she's going to see the same digital tasks that we saw on the teacher's side. And she only sees the tasks that we selected for her. So she's going to see the same matching activity, for example. Okay. And it's really interactive and really user-friendly. And I find get students motivated to actually come in and do their tasks. My students actually do really love using Ellii's digital tasks quite a lot. So next we have this past tab. So this is what I was saying about everything that we move into the taught lane, that third lane in the lesson planner, that's going to move here into the past tab in the student dashboard. So this becomes a really valuable collection of learning content for Sasha. she can come back to these lessons again and again. She can redo the lesson. So she can go back in. She can see her score. She can retry the tasks if she wants. This is adding a huge amount of value to my students' learning experience. So they are getting this really interactive platform that they can use. They have their own login. I can assign content to them, but they're also getting this growing library of materials that I have selected and chosen for them. They get to keep those materials, and I'm not asking them to like go and buy another textbook or pay for a software seat. This is at no additional cost to my students. So a huge value to them. They really appreciate this. I'm also always trying to tell my students, like, you need to be doing review. Review is so key when we're learning language. This is perfect for that. I can just say, okay, you have easy access. Go in and review those lessons, read those readings again, watch the videos again. Anytime I assign video content or flashcards, that's going to go into this media tab also. Sasha can just really easily find those videos and flashcards, which are materials that she probably would want to review again and again. So very accessible here in the media tab. And then we have this tab called My Picks. This is really cool. Basically, I have selected categories or sections of Ellie's content library, and I've added them here for Sasha to browse. And she can look through and see what the lesson is. And when she sees something that she likes, all she's got to do is just like it. And this is a really fun and really great way for students to get some autonomy over the direction of their learning. So they get to get involved. They get to indicate what they would like to learn next. And it's a really great way to, and a fun way to communicate about what they want to do. Sometimes I'll ask my students, what do you want to do next? And they'll be like, you choose. I don't care, anything. But this is a really good kind of tangible way for them to see some options, some curated options, so it's not too overwhelming, and actually have a say in where we go next. And students often surprise me with what they choose, which is great because I'm not a mind reader, and it's really nice to be able to see where their interests are if they haven't communicated with me yet. So this is a really, really cool and really useful tool. So the student dashboard also is going to really enhance your students' learning experience. My students get really excited when I show them the student dashboard. They find it really enjoyable to use, and it really does keep them motivated and engaged between lessons. And it's a great way to get them to do more practice tasks between class. And like we saw with the past tab, it's just a fantastic way to keep all of their past materials organized in one place and make it super, super accessible for them. I should also maybe mention really quickly, like if any lesson does have a PDF version. A lot of our lessons do have a PDF version. They can find that PDF version as well, and they can save and download that. So that's also very, very valuable for them. But we should just back up a second, because there are lots of times when students might not yet have an Ellii account, because another reality of independent teaching is the trial lesson. So a lot of independent teachers teach trial lessons on a regular basis, because the reality is we are responsible for finding our own students. Even if we have a nice full student roster, in order to make our teaching businesses sustainable, we do have to continuously offer trial lessons to make sure that we have a healthy inflow of students. I often see this topic coming up on teacher forums. I see teachers kind of stressing about the trial lesson. How can I teach a good trial lesson? One of the problems is that trial students don't always send a ton of information about themselves before the trial. So we're often working without a lot of intel. I, for one, and I think a lot of teachers feel this way, I don't want to teach a generic or like cookie cutter trial lesson. First of all, students are not going to be motivated to sign up for lessons with me if that's what I show them in a trial. Second, it is not a true reflection of how I actually teach and the kind of support and the kind of learning experience that I can offer to students. So I want to give them a personalized trial experience. And I want to do that even if they haven't sent me a ton of information about themselves or maybe any information about themselves beforehand. So I want to show you how I've used Ellii as kind of like my secret weapon for trial lessons, for teaching great trial lessons and getting my trial students to convert to regular committed students. So I'm going to jump back over to the teacher side over here to the Discover page. Now, one of the things you can do as you are browsing through Ellii's content library, you can save lessons to a customizable folder. So let's say I want to add a lesson to a folder. It's going to save into one of the folders that I've created. So I want to show you a folder of lessons that I have put together called Foolproof First Lessons. So this is a folder that contains all of my tried and true, all-time favorite lessons to use with students that I'm meeting for the first time, students from all kinds of different backgrounds, different ages, different levels, different personalities. So what I would do and what I did and do in trial lessons is have this Foolproof First Lessons folder open on my computer. And I'm talking to my trial student. And within the first few minutes, I'm getting a sense for what they need and what they might like. So I can really pick something really quickly. It's right here, really accessible for me. Pick something that I know that they're going to love. So a couple scenarios. I used to do a lot of my independent teaching on italki, and I know there are a lot of platforms kind of similar to that one too. And something that could happen from time to time, a trial student wouldn't respond to my my request for information, and I thought, okay, no problem. We'll go to the lesson anyway. And camera turns on, and it's a 5-year-old student. And in that moment, I have no time to waste. There's not going to be much conversation. And I just need to have really engaging and supportive and, really friendly content to use with them right away. So I would just really quickly open this school day lesson. And it would be a great lesson to use with a young learner. The learner is feeling comfortable, having a great time. The parents are super happy that their child is being supportive and having a really good learning experience. So that is a really life-saving hack that I've used so many times. If I'm talking to, let's say, an adult student who has recently moved to a new country and is working as a digital nomad and is feeling like they want to talk about that experience, I would open this digital nomads lesson here. And for a trial lesson, I would typically use the PDF feature. So when I open up the PDF, I would pick the lesson, open it up, then I would share my screen with the student, and I would share this like really beautifully designed, really well laid out PDF lesson. And it's going to be a topic that is really that really resonates with that student. So I would pick a couple of tasks that I think would target the skills that that the trial student wants to practice, or tasks that I think are going to be really interactive for them and get them feeling comfortable, get them talking. So maybe I would do a couple of warm-up questions. I might show them like one or two really interesting paragraphs from the reading and start asking them some questions. And as we're going through, I can just easily annotate, I can add notes, and any annotations that I make, I'm going to be able to download the PDF, and it's going to include all of those annotations, and I can send that PDF to the trial student at the end of the lesson. They can finish the PDF, they can keep working through the tasks, and it just is a really great way to leave them with something valuable and to show them how I'm going to be able to create a personalized learning experience. This method really helped me to increase my trial conversion rate. And I could see my trial students enjoying the lesson, really getting engaged and like feeling relaxed. And so all of those things helped a lot to give them a really good sense of what it was going to be like to learn with me. And they wanted to actually sign up for more lessons. When we're doing trial lessons, there are lots of things that are out of our control, like maybe the student doesn't send a lot of information, but there are things I can control. And what I can control is how I show the student what I can really offer them and how I present to them and sell to them the value of how I can support their learning. So, this really interactive student platform and really engaging content are ways that I can show students from day one exactly what they're going to get when they sign up to learn with me. And I've found it to be a real lifesaver in my time as an independent teacher. But getting students to sign up with us is just the first step in the journey. So the third and final challenge that we're going to be talking about is how to help students for the long haul. So one last time, I'm going to get Lise to come up with our final poll.
Okay, hello everybody. Our final poll today that's going to lead us into this final section on helping your students for the long haul. I'll make this visible now, so make your way over to the poll section for the last time. And the question we're asking is, what material are you looking for as an independent teacher? There's a bunch of different options there. There's also a all of the above option at the end. So if you're looking for a variety of different things, you can click that one. Or let us know if there's something really specific. Maybe you're only working through grammar with your students, or right now you're really focused on pronunciation. Let us know what kind of material you're looking for. And I think Felicia is going to show off a lot of the great content that we have already on the site.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, helping students for the long haul. Another thing that we have to think about as independent teachers is student retention. And this kind of came up in the beginning when we were talking about the challenges of independent teaching. We need to find ways to help support our students long term. In my experience, most private students are coming to me looking for long-term support. Of course, there are times when someone is looking for short-term test preparation or they're getting ready for an interview. But honestly, like in those cases too, I have found that they end up wanting to continue learning as their needs change. Private students also typically are not interested in really a rigid curriculum. They don't really want something like kind of cookie cutter. They are most of the time looking for a customized learning plan, which means something different for everyone. But that is something that, in my experience, most private students, are looking for. So I want to find ways to get my students to stick around and enjoy their learning with me long term. And students are going to stick around and also recommend us to their friends if they feel like they're really enjoying their learning with us, they're seeing the value in what we're offering to them, and they also are feeling like they're making progress toward their learning goals. So now is the moment when I get to really show you Ellii's content. Ellii has a really massive library of high quality, ready-made lessons and materials for every level, every age, every background, every interest. I have been showing you a lot of tools and features today, and they're tools and features that I think are beautifully made, like really intuitive, really easy to use. But it is the content that made me fall in love with Ellii in the first place. The library of content on Ellii is really big, so you kind of just have to get in there and explore it for yourself. But I'm going to try to give you a sense for how much content there is, the variety that's available, and also what makes these materials so special. So let's take a look at Ellii's content library. All right, so again, we're back at the Discover page. This is a really great page to come to, by the way, just if you're looking for inspiration. This is updated weekly with recommendations from the Ellii team, timely topics, as you can see with this Taylor Swift lesson here, and anything newly published, you'll find on this page. In our materials tab, you can see we have lots of different categories to explore. So we have lessons and flashcards and videos and resources. We also have collections of content. We have courses, so you can take your students through a comprehensive course. We have study packs. We have interactive games, polls, dilemmas. So we have lots of different content. So let's say the first thing you want to do is get a sense for your students' level. So in the resources section, you can find a collection of assessment tools. So this is where you can come to find really great placement tests to get a great sense of your students' level. You can also find needs assessments and other resources to help you determine the direction that you want to go with your students' learning plan. So let's say you have determined the level and you've kind of figured out what type of content you're looking for. The most obvious starting point would be the search. So let's imagine I want to talk about travel with my student. And I do a search and I see that there are more than 400 results. So I probably want to filter. Maybe I want to filter for level, or maybe I'd like to filter for age. Maybe I'm looking for a particular type of content. So I might be looking for some flashcards related to travel. And I can see tons of flashcard options here. Or maybe I would like to find a study pack. So lessons grouped around a theme related to travel. Or maybe I'm looking for a comprehensive course that my students can progress through. So the search is a really great way to actually find that content that is going to meet the needs of all of your students, no matter what their age, no matter what their level. Now, if we go over to the lessons here, we're going to look at all these different lesson categories that Ellii has to offer. So as you can see, so many different lesson categories, and inside each category, there are dozens and sometimes hundreds of different lessons, again, at all different levels. So you can really find whatever you're looking for. So I'm just going to show you just a couple quick things here. So let's just take a quick look at discussion starters. So this is a fan favorite. We all love the discussion starters section. And so here you're going to find content that really helps to spark discussion. You're going to find topics like kind of hot button issues like consumerism and like fake news. But you're also going to find really unique and thought-provoking lessons here. So this is one of the things that I have so deeply appreciated about Ellii over the years. The kinds of topics that I can find here, I am just not finding elsewhere. So for example, this lesson on wonder. This is a really thought-provoking and really meaningful topic. It really gets students talking about things like curiosity. And I find that this is one of those topics that helps to facilitate that meaningful human connection between me and my students. And it also means a lot to my students to be able to discuss topics like this, things that they really care about, things that get them thinking, no matter what their level is. Okay, so that's discussion starters. One thing I want to mention, as I'm browsing through the content library, there are different ways to save content. So we've looked at a couple of those already. I can, of course, add lessons to classes. I can save lessons to folders, or I can just like lessons. And those are just going to go into my saved likes so I can easily find them later. So that's another really easy way, like tons of options on Ellii to keep myself organized, which I really appreciate. All right, let's just quickly go back into the lesson categories. I just want to show you a couple more things here. Okay, so we've got grammar topics, lots of different grammar topics here. I cannot tell you how many times I've been using an Ellii grammar topic to teach grammar to students, and they say things to me like, this is the clearest explanation I've ever seen for this topic, like this present perfect lesson. Students will often say, oh my goodness, like within 5 minutes, I feel like I understand something that I've struggled with most of my life, and I feel like I can really go out there and try to use this grammar point, which is amazing. So the grammar materials really help me to teach grammar to my students with confidence. I know that I'm giving them quality instruction and information. So really great. Another thing we have is young learner content and adult literacy content as well. So for young learners, lots of really fun and really interactive and age appropriate content here. Like, for example, this word bank readers section. Let's say I've got a young student and I want to teach this student about feelings, adjectives. I would use this Sabby's feelings lesson. And in this lesson, I'm going to get this really fun and cute video about a little girl
isn't angry,
who goes to her first day at her new school, and she experiences all different feelings throughout the day. And young learners are really they're really excited to watch this video, and it just really helps to actually get them talking, get them feeling comfortable and having a good time. Okay, we have a ton of life skills content. So functional English, things that will help your students, content that will help your students to go in and meet with their child's teacher at a parent-teacher meeting or book an appointment with their doctor. Lots of really great real-world content in here. Lots of academic and workplace topics, things related to business like active listening and topics related to corporate responsibility or making introductions at work, writing in English, writing an essay, writing a paragraph, descriptive writing. Reading and discovery. This section, that's news to me, is a lot of fun. Here you can find authentic news stories adapted for different levels. We saw this Taylor Swift lesson featured on the Discover page. So last year, I had this student, she was like 13 years old, huge Swiftie, and she only wanted to talk about Taylor Swift every single lesson. And it was really cool to be able to show her content that was related to her interest. So there is a Taylor Swift lesson in the famous people section that she loved. If I was still teaching that student, she would be so over the moon to see this lesson on Taylor Swift's appearance on the New Heights podcast. But lots of really relevant, timely news stories here at different levels. So all kinds of different content in Ellie's content library. Now, we also have lots of really useful content in our media gallery. So we've got almost 6,000 flashcards that you can customize. You can create flashcard sets to share with your students or broadcast during lessons. We also have more than 600 different videos. So there's lots of different videos you can find here. There are videos of Lee's sharing helpful pronunciation tips. There are different dialogues. We have news reports in here, lots of silent videos to get your students practicing fluency and describing what they see. So lots of fantastic videos here in the media gallery. Let's say your students or you are looking for maybe more of a collection or a course. So we do have collections and we have courses and study packs. So I'm just going to talk about courses and study packs really quickly here. So courses and study packs, these are bundles of lessons. So for the study packs, these are going to be lessons that are grouped around a theme. So for example, we've got this tuned in study pack. And if you assign this to your students, they get a few lessons, usually 3 to 5 lessons. So we've got earbuds, binge watching, and podcasts around the clock. So they get to see lessons on a similar theme. So they're practicing similar language, similar vocabulary, really helping them to build the language skills they need to talk about this topic. So this is a really cool way to assign content by assigning study packs or using these with your students in class. Courses, these are more comprehensive. So a course is going to take your students through a comprehensive progression of lessons, and most of the time they end with an assessment. So for example, this Grammar Genius course, this one has 20 lessons ending with an assessment. And it takes students through a progression of lessons from high, intermediate to advanced. And this is just really fantastic. There are times when maybe I'm looking for a course because I would like to plan out the content that I'm going to teach into the future. And I want to make sure that that is something that is really well selected and well designed to actually help my students make some progress. Maybe my students are asking for a course. Maybe they want something for self-study. They want to be able to work at their own pace through a progression of lessons. So courses are a really fantastic resource that we do have here in the Ellii content library. And I want to show you what this looks like if I do assign it to a class. So I'm going to add this to one of my classes. I'm going to add the whole course to the class. So I have this grammar gym class, and I'm going to add this one to just the prepping lane of that class. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So this grammar gym class, I have content, I have other courses already in here. So I've already done this Grammar Genius 1 course with my students. They still have access to that course in their Ellii student dashboard, so they can go back and review anytime they want. They're currently working on this Grammar Genius 2 course. And when they're ready, when they're done, I can just move this Grammar Genius 3 course over into the teaching lane, and they can work through that course. So this is really great for these students. Like I had a student recently who was like, I love the content we're doing in class, and I want as much extra grammar homework as you can give me. And I was thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I'm already assigning a lot of homework to her and I'm already taking the time to go in and grade that homework. But I can just create another class, add a grammar course into it, and she can go and work away at those grammar activities. And that was really motivating and meaningful to her. I can also just control exactly which lessons my students have access to as well. So I can choose to show them the entire course, or I can control and let them only see a few lessons. So lots of different options in the content library, no matter what your teaching style, what your students are looking for. I have found that all of the content that Ellii offers is really valuable in that it's like super relevant to my students' needs, to their areas of interest, and it's also trustworthy. I always trust Ellii's content. Like I said at the beginning, I've been working on the Ellii team for like the last few months. I started this year. So I'm talking from years of experience of not being the one who's actually helping to create this content. I always found the content to be really trustworthy. I knew that it was going to be high quality and also just ready to go. These are ready-made lessons that they're ready for me to use with my students in class or assign to them for homework. A lot of Ellie's team on the publishing team and on other teams are current and former English teachers. And so they really understand from firsthand experience what independent teachers are facing in the classroom or in the lesson space and what students need in order for them to thrive. And I can say, and I know that a lot of teachers feel this way too, I and my students feel the difference when using Ellii content. There have been many times over the years with hundreds of students and thousands of lessons that Ellii has helped to facilitate real, like meaningful connection between me and my students. And this means a lot, especially in this digital age with artificial intelligence. It means a lot to be able to show up to a lesson with a student and give them something that really matters to them, something that they feel they can really connect with. And that's, what language learning is all about. We're teaching them skills, but we're also trying to give them things that they really want to communicate about. And that's what's going to help them to make progress and feel motivated and feel like confident in their learning. So I love that I can always find lots of great stuff that matters to my students as the unique human beings that they are. If there is ever a topic that you can't find on Ellii or something that you'd love to see on Ellii, definitely reach out to our customer service team. They pass on recommendations or requests to the publishing team. I'm on the publishing team, so I can say, yes, like even this year, we have developed a lot of lessons that are the result of requests from teachers, from you. So we really do appreciate your requests. We love creating stuff that we know that you and your students will love using. So I just want to maybe wrap it up here by saying, like, I used Ellii to grow a successful teaching business. And it means a lot to be able to be part of the team that is continuing to design really great tools and to design great materials that I believe are going to really help to support you in growing your teaching business. So at this point, we've got a couple more things we want to talk to you about before we jump into the Q&A. So I'm going to invite Lise to join me back on stage.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Felicia. I hope you guys in the audience enjoyed that as much as I did, and I worked on this with Felicia, but it was so great to watch you go through that and explain everything. And I feel like I even learned things from that. So that was amazing. Thank you. Okay, I think probably a lot of you are sitting in the audience right now thinking to yourselves, wow, this is amazing. How do I get a subscription? So let's just quickly look at Ellii's individual plan. I'm going to push our pricing page just onto the screen for you right now so that you can go and check that out on your own time. But our individual plan is built specifically for independent teachers. The way that it works is you get 35 student licenses and you have unlimited classes. So you can create as many classrooms as you would like, and you can invite 35 students to have access to that student dashboard that Felicia was showing you throughout the presentation. I did see a couple of questions about what if I have more than 35 students? Don't worry, we're going to get to those questions in the Q&A section that's coming up shortly. So you get access to the whole platform, all of the library, the content, the videos, the flashcards. We've got interactive games for group classes, all kinds of amazing stuff with an individual plan, 35 student licenses, and unlimited classes. There are 3 different term options for billing. You can be billed either quarterly, biannually, or annually. And if you choose the annual plan, it is as low as $14 a month, which if you're doing your calculations and you're thinking about everything else that you have to buy or look for or search for or spend your time doing, it's an amazing value for a platform that gives you not only content, but also student accounts and an LMS system that you can work within.
Yeah.
So
maybe I'll just jump in, Lise, and I'll just say one thing here. I did find when I was starting my independent teaching business, and then all the years that I was doing that full time, this was the only platform that I paid to use. This was the only platform that I subscribed to. I was able to find the content that I needed and the tools and features that I needed. And so for me, when I was really thinking about how am I going to, where am I going to invest my money for my business, this was really able to be that full teaching toolkit. So I did find this to be incredible value, and I was able to get everything that I needed from this platform. So
yes, 100%. This exact same situation for me when I was teaching in Brazil. I taught for many years by myself. I ran my own business, and again, Ellii was the only platform and content that I used to teach my classes. So it's wonderful that we have this personal touch with the company as well from the teaching perspective, and we can really recommend it as all you need to run your business. So with that being said, before we move on, I want to share with you a code that we're going to be giving you guys access to. Because you came to this webinar, we are offering a discount code. I'm going to share that right now on the screen. The discount code for new subscribers is eslteacher20, and it will give you a 20% discount on your first purchase. Now, for all the teachers in the audience who are here and they already have subscriptions with Ellii, don't worry, we thought about you too. Please email us at hello@eslteacher.com, and I'm going to put that on the screen in just a moment too. That's hello@eslteacher.com. Please tell us your name. Put the code in the email, so eslteacher20, so that we know you were at the webinar, and we will make sure that we apply that 20% discount to your next renewal. So teachers, when you go and you set up your new class and you're putting in all your information, you're going to see a line that says referral code, and that's where you're going to put in this discount code. EslteacherTech20, get that 20% off your subscription. It is worth it. Okay, fantastic. I've got one last thing that I want to share. Felicia, do you think you can go to the final page before we get to our questions?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you guys remember, but during Felicia's, or I hope you remember, during Felicia's presentation, she was giving you some suggestions on how she runs her trial classes. And she was showing you how she puts together these amazing folders, and she's got all these classes in there. Well, I have another suggestion, and this I'm actually going to give to you guys as a homework challenge, because I want you to try to do this on your own and see if it works for you. So the challenge that I'm giving you is to create a classroom. Now, I've called my classroom Test Drive. You can call it Trial Classroom or Mock Classroom or whatever you want, but create a classroom, fill it with content, and I would recommend doing a variety of content: videos, flashcards, grammar classes, and also study packs. Study packs is an amazing way to share a whole bunch of lessons that are related to a similar topic. So by putting in one study pack, you're actually going to be sharing a couple of lessons with your students, which is amazing. So I fill my Test Drive class with study packs, and I put them all in the teaching lane like you can see here, and I create one student sign-in. Now, this is a generic student sign-in that I give to any of my potential students who are looking to see, what is it going to be like if I want to study with this teacher and they're asking me to use Ellii, and I'm going to be using Ellii content. What is that going to look like? Well, you can create this one student login and share it with these potential students, and they can access this classroom and take a look for themselves. They'll be able to see what the dashboard looks like. They'll be able to access that content, maybe try some of the digital tasks, watch the videos, and they'll even be able to see what it looks like for the feedback. So when setting up this class, I would highly recommend that you set the feedback mode to automatic. This way, you don't have to worry about grading potential clients' homework. EllieBot is going to do that for you. They can even do the speaking tasks, and they can do the writing tasks, and they'll still get feedback from EllieBot on their answers, which is great. So this is just a wonderful way for your students to see what it's going to look like if they want to do classes with you. And then once they're familiar with the platform and they love it, they can set up a trial class with you and meet face-to-face and set up those classes. So this is our challenge. We hope you take it and give it a try and get a whole bunch of new students. That's the whole point, right? Okay. Fantastic. Well, I think it is time to say thank you, Felicia. That was amazing. Don't run away just yet. We are going to do a quick Q&A session now. Felicia and I are going to try to get through a couple of your questions. I do apologize. We've got about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes to do this. We're not going to be able to get through all of your questions, but I hope that you did see that some of our staff have been answering the questions that you've put in the question section. If you look at those comments, hopefully you'll have gotten a lot of the answers that you were looking for. But Felicia, let's try to answer some of these ones together. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's see what I can do here. Okay. You know what? I have to start with this one. I know I just shared the homework challenge, but Ryan, this is literally the perfect question. When I saw this one coming in, I was so happy. What's the best way to demo the Ellii classroom to new potential students? Homework challenge. I really think you should try setting up that classroom. Try creating that single student login information that you can share with all of those different teachers, all of those different students, sorry, and see if your students, that's the best way to get them to see what the Ellii classroom looks like, in my opinion. Or your folders, Felicia, is also a great way to do it.
Yes. I also wanted to add, I didn't really talk about student onboarding. So there are different options for how to onboard students. And the option that we're suggesting for this homework challenge is to create a login that you make without needing the student's email address. So there are ways to create student logins. Some of them involve sending an email invitation to students or showing them a QR code. But for different use cases, you can create a student login without needing access to the student's email address. And this is a great way to really quickly and easily show a student what the Ellii student dashboard looks like without needing them to really commit to creating a login with their email just yet.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Thank you. I hope that answered your question, Ryan. Okay, let's jump to another one. I saw a bunch. There's so many questions in here now.
Great.
There are some general questions about, is this video going to be accessible at the end? Yes, it is. We'll make sure that it goes on our YouTube channel, and we'll send that out to you as well. Here's a question that's worth answering. Felicia, what happens if I have more than 35 student accounts? What can we do in this?
Yeah. So in this case, you are looking at an organization account. So there is another option above the individual plan. And so you can take a look at the pricing page to see details about that. But that is going to get you those extra student accounts so that you won't be limited to 35 student accounts. And so, yeah, Lee's just put the link to the pricing page. So check out that organizational plan.
Exactly. Yes. As you're going through your students, and as happens to all of us, some of our students move on and we get new students. You can archive your students, your older students, and then open up new spaces for new students. So, it's only the only issue is if you have more than 35 students at once. If you're teaching more than 35, then yes, you would move up to our organization account. And with that account, you get unlimited student licenses. Okay, and all the information you need is on our pricing page at the bottom there. Okay, moving on. What do we have next? Okay. Actually, I would like to address this one quickly. This was asking if there's a video I can send to students to show them how to use their dashboard for their first class. Yes, there is. If you all make your way into the Q&A section, you'll actually see the specific video linked there that you can see. But I would also like to share our YouTube channel. And I'd like to share that with you because we have tons of demo videos on there from both the student side and the teacher side. So if there's ever anything that you're looking for in your, how do I set up a class? How do I share a folder? How do I add or rearrange my flashcards or edit my flashcards? We've got demo videos on all of these things. So please go check out our YouTube channel. And there's also lots of videos for your students as well, instructing them how to access their homework, how to set up their account, all kinds of great, useful video content there that hopefully you can use.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm trying to fly through these so we get through as many as we can. Oh, here's a good one. And actually, Felicia, you did demo this, but it's a good one to reinforce. Is there a way to schedule the prepping lesson? So when you have a lesson in your prepping lane, can you schedule that?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. You can go in and you can schedule them. You can schedule them to move from prepping to teaching at a particular time on a particular day. You can also schedule them to move from teaching into taught at a particular time on a particular day. So if you want those lessons to not show up in the student dashboard in the first tab when the student opens up their Ellii account, if you want them to move into that past tab on a certain day, you can schedule them to do that as well.
Yes, thank you. That was a good one to clarify and a great question to ask. Okay. Next question. There's so many to go through. This one is similar to what we were just saying about the student licenses. archiving student licenses? Do archived classes still use up the license capacity? With your plan at Ellii, there is no limit to the classes that you can make and the number of classrooms that you can create. So an archived class makes no difference. You can have thousands of classes as if you'd like. It's just the student licenses on the individual plan that are limited to 35.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here's again, we kind of touched on this one, or you touched on this one, Felicia, but here's just, I think, a teaching, maybe your advice. Do you share the material before class or after it? How do you like to approach that?
Yeah, I approach it in different ways with different students. I do really like the approach of sharing some material before class. So I do typically like to, what I'll do is kind of at the end of a lesson, I'll say, okay, these are your homework tasks for this lesson. And I'm also going to give you a couple tasks I want you to preview before the next lesson. One of the problems that I've had is like, I'll say to students, I'm going to send that to you later. This used to happen to me a lot when I was teaching in the classroom. I'll send it to you later, everybody. And then, the end of the day came, and then the next day and the next. So I'll usually say it at the end of class, and then I just quickly put those things into the teaching lane, or I have it all set up before class. And then that way they've got a little bit of both. They have a little bit to do after, they have a little bit to do before the next lesson. And I do a mix. Like sometimes with one student, I will maybe assign a couple of digital tasks for pre-class work. And then in the lesson, I might actually share my screen and use the PDF, or I'll get the student to share their screen and log into their Ellii student dashboard. And then I'll ask them to either annotate their own PDF, which they can do, or I'll get them to complete the digital tasks. And that way I can see what they're doing, but they're the one that's actively controlling the task. And I get to kind of talk them through it and just be involved in that way. So lots of different ways that I like to do it. But yes, both.
Nice. Okay, great. Thanks, Felicia. Okay, we've got time for a few more here.
Great.
The next question. Oh, here's a good one. Can you add material from outside Ellii? If you're talking about adding material into that lesson planner, if you want to use that space to prep for your classes, the answer here is no. Inside Ellii's platform on the site, all you can use, or you have access to all of our content, and that's what you can put inside of the lesson planner, but you are not able to add outside content.
Yeah. And here is where I would say definitely reach out to customer service if you have a request. I can see some really, really good requests in the Q&A here, some specific niches that people are teaching and needing more content for. So definitely please reach out to customer service so that we can add those to the board and get working on the things that you need.
Yes. Okay, next. Do students pay for an account, or do they have access through the teacher's account? Students do not pay for an account. This is when we're talking about what your plan includes. 35 student licenses. Those are 35 student licenses that you can give out to any of your students. They do not need to pay a thing. This is a cost that the teacher takes on as part of the subscription. So this is amazing. Look at all the amazing stuff that your students get and an incredible platform to study from. And no, they do not need to pay for that. Okay, maybe one more, maybe two more questions.
Let's do it.
There's so many good ones. I'm having trouble picking the ones that I want. Let's see here. There was one that I wanted to share. How about we do this one? When they receive a PDF version, do they see the answers? So, Felicia, do you think you can answer that one?
Yeah, so this depends a little bit on how they receive the PDF version. So the PDF version that they receive in their Ellii student dashboard does not have the answer key at the end of the PDF. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, that answer key. So we always have two versions. So you have the teacher version, the student version. The teacher version does have a full answer key. If I'm downloading, or if you're downloading the PDF from your teacher account and you've selected the teacher version, then that is going to have the answer key. And you can send that to your students. I do sometimes send that to my students. So it depends on what you prefer. But the PDF that they automatically get, if you leave that option checked when you assign content, that PDF in their student dashboard does not have an answer key.
Yes, perfect. Okay, and actually there was one other question, maybe it could be the last one, and I can't find it in here, which makes me think maybe it was in the comments section and I saw it earlier in the presentation, but it was related to the PDF and the annotation tools. So I think they were asking about whether or not it's possible to save the annotations that you make. And yes, it is. You can annotate the PDF as you are teaching your student. If you're using that in class and you wanted to highlight things or underline sections or type things on there, you can then download that PDF and it will have all of the annotations on there, and then you can send that to your students. So this is incredible. That for a long time when I was teaching using Ellii, this was how I taught. It took me a while to get into the digital tasks just because I was so used to using the PDF versions and I loved them. Then, of course, you try the digital tasks and you're like, this is amazing. And your students love doing it on their own. But the annotation tools on the PDFs are incredible. So if you have any other questions, I know there's tons of questions that we did not get to answering. I apologize for that, but please reach out to us with your questions. I'm just going to put down here. You can contact us here if you click on the link down below. And this is a great, easy way to contact us. You can find this on our website, or you can email us. And you can email us at hello@ellii.com. I think I have this linking to the site right now, but just take a screenshot or write it down, hello@ellii.com, and our customer support team will be happy to answer any of your questions. Last thing I think I'm just going to throw up on the stage one more time is that promo code IndieTeacher20. That will get you a 20% discount on your next, either your first purchase, or if you already have a subscription with Ellii, send us an email at hello@ellii.com and make sure to include this discount code and we will put that in for your next renewal. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us. This was fantastic. We hope you got lots out of this session. Felicia, you were amazing. That was a really, really great presentation. And thank you. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was really great having everybody here. See you next time. Good luck with teaching. Happy teaching.
Happy teaching. Bye-bye.
Ellii.